On today's Locked On Twins, we took your questions, so it's a bit of a mailbag. We've got questions about ideal batting orders, spring training upside, and the grade for the offseason given the self-imposed payroll restraints. So we'll talk about all that and much, much more. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren. You can unfollow me on Twitter at Brandon_WARNE. And again, we thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. Joining me, as he does quite frequently, and I think is in a location much warmer than where I am. It's Answer Dave Brown. How are we doing?
Well, that was true today during the day when I saw my thermometer in the car. It was 81 degrees last week of February, but now it's like 40 again, and it's sleeting or something outside. So
wait until I tell you what it is here.
What is it?
13.
Oh, well, so it turns out that you're right.
-3 wind chill. So it's pretty ugly, and it's going to be 65 degrees in like 3 days. So
same here. It's actually 31, I guess. So it's people are worried that their house is going to blow away and fall on a witch in Kansas. So
I thought you were in Missouri.
I am, but I'm just saying one state over. Not even.
Not sure if you've heard, but Kansas City, there's a Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas. So
I hadn't heard that. No.
The more you know.
Hey, that's not true.
Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. I know I mentioned that already, but we really do appreciate if you're an everydayer. And if you're not, we'd love to have you around more often. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts for free, also on YouTube. We love hanging out with you guys. We've been doing a lot of premieres at 11 p.m. Central, which has worked out nicely for the old sketch. So we'll do that at least until the season starts. And then, I don't know, we'll see what happens if we do live post-game stuff. We got a lot of things in the mix. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers today can join, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Dave, we have a very full mailbag to get to today, but I want to talk just about the Twins and Phillies today. Not a lot of news, I guess you could say. Wink, wink. Twins, scrappy as they are, put up a 3 spot with 2 outs in the 9th inning, sending the game to a tie. And it was a very impressive, important former center fielder debut. But the joke was that it was Jake Cave on the Phillies instead of the Twins. No, Jake Cave, though, did play first base for the Phillies today, which didn't really see any of that in Minnesota. But Byron Buxton back in the outfield, a couple plate appearances, a strikeout, had a ball hit over him by Trey Turner that he got to it, cut it off, and it sounded like no worse for the wear. I don't suspect we'll see him in a game tomorrow, or maybe not even over the next few days. But I suspect they'll start working him in, back-to-backs here within the next 7 to 10 days, or maybe right around there. But obviously, very, very exciting to see not only Buxton back in there, but a 2-3-4 of Buxton, Correa, Lewis. I mean, we prayed for times like this, Dave Brown.
We did. I think, did we pray hard enough? Because right now it's like a monsooning here, but we pray for the wrong thing. Should we not pray for baseball? And
there's like 40-mile-an-hour winds here, so I get it.
Right. I didn't happen to see the play. You described one play, I think, where Turner hit the ball over his head, Buxton's head.
Yeah.
I think I saw some quotes, though, from Buxton talking about responding to questions about that play, saying something like, I was kind of playing it smart. I wasn't going, 100 miles an hour or absolutely all out for a ball. I don't know if this is the Turner ball or not, but it was something like that. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about the other day, how do you keep Buxton healthy and secure through this return to center field? And, we said that's one way to do it. And the Twins have to remind him, but he has to police himself. I mean, he's got to save those those big sprints into the fence, into the gap for important situations, and it's not necessarily fly balls in early random spring training games that he's going to do that. He's got to save it for when he really needs it because he's an important player to the team on defense as well, and it's he's got to have all his faculties to be as good as he is on defense, and he's one of the best outfielders in the league when he's healthy.
Yeah, one time I asked Jake Odorizzi who was the best defensive center fielder he'd played with between Kevin Kiermaier and Byron Buxton, and like Jake was always very candid with me. He wasn't afraid to say something if it was not controversial, but like taking a stand. And he said, "Man, I couldn't choose." Like, so that's how he regarded playing in front of both of those guys was. And I thought that was especially important when you consider that Odorizzi, like high 20s ground ball rate. He needed a good defensive center fielder in his back pocket, and he got two very good ones in the couple of the stops in his career. Half the hits today coming off the bats of a couple of youngsters that we may want to keep a slight eye on. Willie Joe Gary Jr. had the game-tying hit in the ninth. A couple hits, though, for him in general. Not really on the radar, but he's not that old. I mean, he was born in 2000, so, he's still in his early 20s. But one of those guys who could, he looked better when he moved up to Double-A last year. He could maybe be a pop-up prospect. We'll see what happens there. But then Jose Salas with a couple of hits after coming in for Carlos Correa and playing shortstop besides. Salas had a really tough year last year, but for my money was all the more reason to say the Twins were going to win that trade because not only did they get Pablo Lopez, but a very interesting prospect in Salas and then Byron Churio besides. I always, like I say, get the wrong Churio, but it's not the one over in Milwaukee who's a super.
And nobody wants to pee in your Cheerios either. That's not.
I was actually thinking of the footlong churro at Subway now. So between Cheerios, maybe what we need to do is pause and get a bite to eat because now all I'm thinking about is food. But
is there really a footlong churro?
Yeah, they're doing cookies and churros and what else? Oh, pretzel.
Oh, really? That
Yeah.
might be a good reason to stop. Are they a sponsor?
No. I would love it if they were. My daughter, I got her eating that stuff when she was like 2 or 3 years old.
Right.
And that was our car picnic. So it's kind of our little bond thing when I take my little girl out to eat is Subway. And
right. If you do it right, a good sandwich can be good for you as well. Although when we go to Subway, we tend to get the white bread and ham, which is not always the best combination in the world. But
so she'd get the cheese and the ham, and she'd call it a cheese and ham sandwich store. And it was next to a karate place that she called the Kick and Punch store. So like,
really?
Yeah, she was brilliant. And she still
That's
is.
one of the 100 cutest things I've ever heard in my life. That's awesome.
When she was 3, she was telling us she wanted more rainbow chips. And I was like, what in the heck is a rainbow chip? And so she's like, oh, those puffy Cheetos. And I said, well, what are you talking about? She goes, Dad, they're shaped like rainbows. Like, okay. And then I know this isn't Locked On Brandon Moore and kids, but one time I handed her cheeseburger from a Happy Meal. It makes it sound like I buy her food from fast food every day, but I handed her Happy Meal cheeseburger. She goes, Dad, is this a sad meal? Like, what are you talking about? She goes, well, you handed me my sandwich upside down. They wrapped it upside down. So, a smile upside down is sad.
They wrapped it upside down. Oh my gosh.
You always have to open a burger upside down. I mean, it's just the way they wrap it. But I was like, the thought, the way that children see the world is hysterical.
They used to say, kids say the darndest things. That was like, there's a humorist named Art Linkletter who made a show out of that. And it's true. They do. One thing though, I want to, you mentioned Willie Joe Gary. Is that the best name in sports? I mean, I don't know.
He's a junior besides.
Oh man, Willie Joe Gary Jr. You can't say that 10 times fast. There's no way you're going to get through it. But I'm rooting for that guy just so we can say his name.
Well, when the Twins drafted him too, they took him back in 2018. So I mean, he's been around since he was he had just turned 18 from Pascagoula High School in Mississippi.
Oh, man.
So he's a 9th-round pick. And as I recall, information was really hard to find on him. Like, I don't know if he was not exactly like a Toe Nash where nobody knew anything about him, but it was like the MLB pipeline, whatever database, didn't have much information on him. And, he just was kind of a mystery. He came up and played for the GCL, that league, hit a $161 and just, had really struggled to this point. And then last year bumped up to Wichita and had an 813 OPS as a 23-year-old. I mean, you just put it all together randomly. And I think that's goes to show, like, sometimes the tools will come together if you keep pushing a guy marginally fast. They didn't rush him or anything. So it's interesting to see, like, he could be decent.
Let him find his own way and, let him take some obstacles out of the way and give him time and take pressure off, because these guys put all the pressure in the world on themselves. Mm-hmm. So hopefully he can continue his ascent and we'll see him in the major leagues at some point.
He played 3 seasons of rookie ball, 93 games with a 595 OPS, 95 games in 1 year at low A with a 601 OPS, 2 seasons, 106 games at high A, 682 OPS, 34 games at double A, 813 OPS. So he has literally improved at every stop. That's incredible.
That's great, and that's part of your minor league development. And it's even if it doesn't mean he turns into a major league player or a quality major league player or whatever and helps the Twins in that way, when you are able to get through to guys like that, when you combine it with someone who has enough talent to get to the ultimate spot, you get a better ball player out of it. That's why it's important to invest in resources like that in your organization. That's one of the reasons why the Dodgers, people complain about, well, they haven't won the World Series, but they go to the playoffs every year. They give themselves a chance.
Yep.
And one of the reasons is they're able to get talent in lots of different ways. It isn't just, they put in $700 million and got Ohtani this year, but there have been other seasons when they didn't necessarily do that. And it's because they're able to find players every which way they can.
Yeah, and it's guys who kind of come out of nowhere. Chris Taylor, Max Muncy, guys who played elsewhere and I don't know if you'd say faltered, but certainly weren't as good as they became with the Dodgers. And so, hats off to them. Let's take a quick second. We'll give some love to our friends at FanDuel. We come back, we'll answer your questions in the mailbag for the final 2 segments. And you can get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. My Wolves got buckets this evening in a win over the San Antonio Spurs. Thought for a second that Anthony Edwards had a serious injury, but managed to come through and still have a pretty nice game. But those ankle rolls can be kind of tricky on the floor there. Anyway, right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So if you had the Wolves tonight, you are on your way with $150 in bonus bets. So $150 though, if your bet wins, basically free play. It's absolutely no brainer. If you haven't joined yet, now's the time to check it out. And you can bet on all your favorite players and teams with quick bets, same game parlays, live same game parlays, that is, and then exclusive props and so much more. As I say every single time, I can't possibly lay out for you all the different options. You just got to check it out for yourself. Either download the app or go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Got Dave Brown over here looking like the Jerry West NBA logo, just getting his buckets in. But I digress. So we have some questions and some really good ones. This is the one I want to start with. John Lano, no relation to Jay Lano, I don't think. But what is your ideal batting order against a righty, assuming everyone's healthy? Also, he wants to know breakout pick for position player and pitcher. So I'll go first with the breakout. For pitcher, it's got to be Louis Varland. They are talking him up around the water cooler like he is going to be the next big thing. And honestly, I think he might be. But if he's not, Simeon Woods Richardson is somebody to watch because the velo looked good, the stuff looked good. And without a role being promised to him, He's still young. He doesn't turn 24 until the end of the season. So he's still in a mix where if he goes to AAA, he's still going to be younger than everybody else. Now, as far as hitters breaking out, it's hard to say because, the Twins have so many guys who had just like decent seasons last year. So I don't know who I would say is a breakout. I'm kind of looking, I want to look at the 40 man to make sure I don't miss anybody because, like, I don't know who I would say would break out. You have expectations for everybody, and then it's like minor leaguers. Like, do you really have high expectations for Junior Severino? Jose Miranda has already succeeded. I'll say, man, I don't even know. Honestly, I'll say this. Austin Martin, as a utility man, gets a lot of playing time this year, I think, and turns into something pretty solid. That's about all I can go with. How about you, Dave, for pitcher and hitter? And then we'll tackle this batting order against right-handed pitchers.
Well, Brandon, you kind of like named all the guys I was thinking of too, and maybe lots of other people are as well.
Okay.
Breakout. Here, let me kind of answer in reverse order and maybe not even answer John's question the way he asked it. But I don't know that. I think if I'm looking at the lineup based on how everybody hit last year and who we expect to play every day, there's one guy who hasn't really produced yet like we think he can. And I think
I know who you're going with too.
Alex Kirilloff.
Yep.
That's the guy who I think is, as far as unprecedented results in the major leagues with full health, I think it's time for him to do that. The other side, so that actually does answer John's question from that standpoint. The other thing I think we're going to see isn't maybe necessarily like a breakout hitter, but a rebound in a breakout sort of way. I see Carlos Correa putting up maybe not like career numbers, but numbers that are closer to that, much better than last year. And I see that from Buxton as well, closer to his 2021 numbers. I see those two things happening, and I see Kirilloff coming through with, 25% better than league average results as part of a platoonish kind of thing with Santana. There's DH in there too, so it's not exactly a platoon. But and as far as the pitchers to come through, Varland and Simeon Woods Richardson come to mind. Here's again a bounce back guy. I think I'm not actually up on how healthy he is. Maybe you can tell me, but I think DeSclafani is going to be a sneaky good addition. Maybe not like, oh, there's the number 2 starter, but when DeSclafani has been good before, he's been like a 3 or 4 WAR pitcher, and that's like, what you want. A lot of teams would take that as a number 2 starter. Maybe not the Twins who are.
But it's a very good number 3 for sure.
Very good number 3 starter. Yes, I think he's going to be sneaky good if he continues to be healthy.
So ideal batting order versus right-handed pitching. Roster Resource has theirs as follows: Eddie Julian at second, Royce Lewis at third, Buxton in center, Kepler in right, Correa at short, Santana at first, Wallner in left, Jeffers in right. Sorry, Jeffers catching, not right. And then Kirilloff at DH. Couple things. I think that's pretty much the way I would go. I don't honestly know who I would have hit ninth in that order because it's top to bottom. That's a solid batting order. And beyond that, the bench is Vasquez, Farmer, Castro, and Margot. I don't know that I'm starting any of those guys against righties other than Castro as kind of a, mix and match, whether it's in center field if Buxton's DH, and that sort of thing. But they have Alex Kirilloff hitting ninth. That's a really good lineup.
It is. And, maybe you could see him performing better than Jeffers possibly, but then looking at how Roster Resource, this is a part of the FanGraphs, if you don't know, with Julian leading. I like that because Julian sees a lot of pitches and draws walks. That's a good person to start with the lineup. Yep. Although I do like when Kyle Schwarber leads off, I think, the potential for home runs is also cool for leadoff hitter. I'm an old Ricky Henderson fan. Who isn't? None of these guys are Ricky Henderson.
Too, Jock Jones used to lead off for them, which was a weird choice because he'd have like a 325 on base.
Right.
Like it felt like once a week he would smoke a homer to the opposite field to lead off a game, and it was just a shot in the arm. It's
Right.
hard to really overstate what that can do for you to start a game.
But I think how FanGraphs roster resource has it with Julian, Lewis, Buxton, Kepler, Correa, Santana, Wallner, Jefferson, Kirilloff. So you probably don't want Wallner and Kirilloff hitting next to each other.
Right.
And I like Kirilloff ninth just because it's kind of sneaky. It's he's putting enough pressure on himself. The ninth place hitter typically doesn't have to be great. Although I've always thought, well, why not have 9 good hitters that will make the lineup better?
And he's DH besides, so there's no defensive worries either in this. I mean, he'll play first base, but as a DH mostly, like you really don't have that element of or that side of the game to worry about.
Right.
I feel like he is best version at the plate pretty easily.
I see the one thing I'm looking at this lineup, and I see, I said I thought Correa had a chance to be closer to his great results of earlier. And I don't necessarily like him all the way down at 5th. I think we're kind of delaying him some, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens there. I might like him. I don't know. I might hit him first at some point. If Julian struggles or if he regresses and they have to adjust this a little bit.
Or against a lefty.
What's that?
Or against a lefty. I mean, you could lead him off.
Yeah, against a lefty, you could lead off. You could lead Correa off.
Or Farmer. I mean, there's a lot of guys who could lead off against a lefty. So it wouldn't be Julian.
I like starting a lineup with one of your best hitters. I do. I think they say the optimal thing is to put your second guy, your best hitter second. Mm-hmm. And it very well could be Lewis. And he's second according to this lineup. I'm not sure if that jives with what Rocco is going to do or not. But if you look at the FanGraphs roster resource, I think that's a good plan for a right-handed pitcher.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Let's talk about game time for just a second. We'll come back and we'll wrap this thing up. We got a bunch of good questions. Won't possibly get to all of them, but we'll do our best. And if you've ever had issues finding tickets, whether it's the last minute or you want to find the best price, Gametime is the way to go. Download the Gametime app and you are in the driver's seat to find seats for whether it's a ball game, a concert, a show, theater, whatever. They've got you covered. You just set it up with your home market. So for me, it'd be the Twin Cities. For Dave, it would be the Twin Cities of Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. Jokes aside, but this is the way to go to buy tickets. If you are looking to go to a playoff game or any kind of big game, this is going to be the best place to get it. The tickets are going to tell you the price up front, not the tickets themselves, but the app will tell you about the tickets because they don't want to have that bait and switch at the end where you have, a septic tank fee at the end or some dumb thing where they just throw a fee on at the end that makes no sense and you get stuck with it. Up front how much you're going to pay, where you're going to sit and what that's going to look like. And it's just a quick tap, and you have your tickets. And with the Gametime guarantee, you always get the best price. So if you find tickets in the same section in a row for less elsewhere, Gametime will not only give you the difference, they'll give you 110% of the difference. So you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON, all one word, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we're coming down the home stretch here, Dave. We got about 8 minutes to go. And let's have a fun one here. Greg Masterson says, who wins in a mud wrestling match between Brandon Warren and Answer Dave Braub? I love Greg. He has a lot of fun on Twitter, and he's a goofy guy. I don't know.
What kind of mud? Like, is it a clay? Is it how wet is it?
Let's say the scene from Old School.
Oh, I would say Brandon. You've got an edge in leverage. You're taller than I am, and younger. Even though you said something the other day that you had your 50th birthday, or no, your golden birthday, which to me
Yeah.
sounds like your 50th birthday, but you're not that old.
No,
So
I was born on the 22nd of February, so I was teasing you that I'm 22, but no, I'm actually considerably older than that. But I am younger than you. So yeah, I would like my chances, but again, like I don't know if FanDuel would get in on that. Maybe you could have a live parlay. Brandon wins, but Dave has the least mud on him, or something like that. So
can you
I would,
imagine how bad I'd start coughing though, especially if we did it tonight?
yeah. And I don't know. It's gonna take. It takes me a while to get down there. If we're gonna meet at a neutral location like Des Moines, we'd still need a few hours. So, yeah, I like my chances, but I'm not gonna come out and guarantee, like Broadway Joe or anything like that. But
Could
I
I
like.
bet on Brandon and then lose and then win later? With the bet, is that
I
doesn't sound scrupulous, but
no, doesn't sound good to me. Michael Moy wants to know how many games do you predict Byron Buxton starts in center field in
all of them.
Well, so I want to see. Obviously, last year he didn't play any, but as far as a career high for Buxton in center, I know he's only done 100 plus games once in his career. So I mean, it's already kind of on a curve.
Right.
Defensively, in 2017, he played 131 games in center. Otherwise, it was 88 in 2016. 78 in 2019, 59 in 2021. I'll set the over-under at 80. And if it's more than 80, if it's more than every other game, I think they will have done quite well.
I see no reason in this exercise to not be optimistic about things.
Yeah.
Despite
I think I'm being pessimistic at 80. I think 100 should be the goal. And they said 100 a couple of years ago, and people lost their freaking minds. And it was like, no, we're just trying to set a realistic goal. If he exceeds it, great. But it's just set a goal that's realistic. And he didn't get there, but the goal was realistic.
I'm going to set the I'm not setting an over under. I'm going to put a number. The money line 114.
Oh, I like it. And true enough. Like there isn't much reason to just to be that down on him.
Right.
I mean, again, like if you want to be, that's fine. It's not like we're gonna come to your house and get browbeat you or anything like that. But mud wrestling, mobile mud wrestling, like that could be a thing. Like bring BYO mud. You bring your own mud to the like home mud.
You let them bring their mud to you, and it would be like a really big. I don't know if it's a Sprinter van or an RV, like retrofitted with a mud wrestling. What's the word? Pit. Yeah.
Children's swimming pool.
Well, that's how we'd have to start. But once we grew a following, we could get some custom equipment going.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm sure people are just riveted by this, but Icy Blue 2525 on Twitter, on X, on whatever Elmo's
sounds like one of those people that breaks trades.
Yeah. Hey, wait, who was the one that Jeff Passan was giving love to?
I don't know. It's like
it wasn't
sex
Karen.
for the wrong species 69.
No, this was just a woman. This was just a woman's name, like Karen.
Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa. Lisa knew. Anyway, Icy Blue, we don't know what he knew. Wants to know what your prediction is for the order of the rotation to begin the season. Assuming everyone's healthy. For this exercise, I'm going to assume everyone is healthy, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. With an off day, I'm going to go back to 1. So I will not have Desclafani make a start in that first go round.
Yeah.
But in the second, I would, regardless of off days, because I don't want him to go 12, 15 days without pitching. So I'm going Lopez, Ryan. I got to make sure I got this right. Lopez, Ryan, Ober, Paddock, and then I'm going to cycle through again. I think I like Ober against the Royals, just their offense a little more. But with that said, I would not be opposed to Paddock and Ober flipping there. I think I go Lopez, Ryan, Ober, Paddock right now for the first 4 with Desclafani skipped.
Have the Royals cloned Bobby Witt? Maybe I should know this, but
not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to answer this. I'm going to give you the order of the rotation for the ALDS.
Okay.
It's going to be Lopez, Ryan. I wanted to come up with a clever. No, it's going to be Lopez. What I wanted to do was come up with a guy that they're going to trade for.
It's Luzardo, man. It's not going to be him, but
it isn't going to be him. And I've already ruined my whatever.
Freddie Peralta's on some of the lists too.
Oh, right. I could see the Brewers hanging around though.
Yeah,
yeah. All right, so I think it's going to be Lopez, this mystery guy, who's great. Ryan in Game 3 and Chris Paddock in Game 4 to close it out.
I like it. We have less than a minute to go, but our good friend Jimmy wants to know, should Twins be worried about this team or this front office? I don't think so. I really do. I really am eager to see what this team looks like in the regular season. If they underachieve, obviously there will be a lot of boo birds, but I think with everything that has been put above them as a cloud in terms of or a glass ceiling, I think they've done a nice job this offseason.
I don't think worried is the right word, but I think we can't, the fan base can't help but be worried just because it seems to be their nature. And that's fine. That's their conditioning. So I think try not to be so worried is how I'd say. Just try.
Enjoy the ride because the destination will probably suck.
Yes.
The journey. Enjoy the ride. Well, anyway, this has been Locked On Twins. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll see you tomorrow night.